Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Objectively Wrong, presented by the Next Man Up. As always, I'm John. That's Ibteen. This is big guys on the other side of the ball. We already talked about linebackers, sadly. And now we're talking about the guys in front of them, or I guess in some weird way, the guys next to them and also part of that. Linebacker is a weird position now, and so is end and edge rusher.
By the way, you haven't seen the episode title, by the way. They already have. Do you know what it's called? It's literally called the broccoli episode.
That's funny. That's funny. Of the last one?
Yeah.
That's funny. Good. When you said Brock, I was like, Osweiler? Anyway, we've got We've got defensive tackles, defensive linemen of all kinds. We've also got edge rushers tonight. So those linebackers, quote unquote, that I talked about the other day, the Miles Murphys and Tyree Wilson. I don't think I mentioned Murphy, but Tyree Wilson and Will Anderson and Nolan Smith, et cetera, they're in this episode. They're not in the other one. They're here, bitches. Everyone is here. We were just talking about Smash Bros. Before the camera rolled. So, I think we're going to start with defensive tackles because I think Tina and I have agreed we think defensive ends and edge rushers are the more fun position.
Yeah, but not to say this class isn't fun.
Oh, we've learned something in the past couple of days reviewing these two position groups. Draft one of them, at least, if not two.
If you're the Raiders, you have 12 picks. Take 12 of them.
Take them all.
Yeah. Anything.
Man, there's very little bust potential in this class.
Oh, there's
some, of course. But I'll tell you, it's more on the edge.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of bust potential on the edge.
There's not, I'm not going to talk about a million tackles, but I could. There's, 1, 2, 3. Is Murphy's going in yours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Murphy gets hybrided a lot, which is weird.
That's a problem.
I know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 5 potential top 50 tackles.
You have 5. I have 15.
No, defensive tackles. You don't have 15 top 5 defensive tackles.
I think, on the defensive line by itself, I think honestly,
there could be 15.
There could be 15.
There is a lot of defensive line talent. A lot of it.
There is, for sure, in the top 3 rounds, at least 20 defensive line players that can go in the first 3 rounds, and it wouldn't be a reach.
And I want to say this up front. The number 1 tackle on our list is Jalen Carter. I'm saying that up front because I don't want to pretend like there's any suspense with that. I don't want to sit here and pretend like I've ranked these guys 1 to 15 or 10 or 8, whatever. I haven't. I've got a top 3, 4, 5 I think are in order. But I am going to make it clear as we start with these defensive tackles. If he checks out on the off-field stuff, if Jalen Carter checks out, he is DT1 this year and last year. Because I comp him to a potentially better Jordan Davis. I understand that Davis is bigger and faster, and yes, that's all true. But with the tape we watched of Jalen Carter, he can be a game wrecker when he decides to be. And if you're a game-wrecking what?
I hate it. That's the thing with defensive line talent specifically. I hate every single time when I look at a tape and I notice, oh, you're taking plays off. Like every single time.
He's done it.
Yeah. And it's not just the top guys. It's an epidemic, defensive line players taking plays off.
Absolutely. At the next level, you can't. Straight up, you can't. And if there's any knock I've got on Jalen Carter, it's the plays off issue. It's the fact that he did not run a very good time at his pro day. I know he didn't do well there. I'm okay with that. Because a pro day, if we're not going to pretend, if we're not going to sit here and crown Zach Wilson because he had a good pro day, I'm not going to sit here and knock a guy beyond belief because he had a bad pro day. We fell into that trap with Orlando Brown, and he's a fringe top 10 left tackle in the NFL. Jalen Carter at 6'3", 315. The Lance Zierlein comp is a guy that just got paid almost $100 million, Jeffrey Simmons.
That's a good comp.
It's a good comp. And
I remember Simmons. We loved Simmons.
I still love him. Yeah. Tennessee does too. He is this is a Jeffrey Simmons-esque powerhouse, man-eating defensive tackle. He draws double teams frequently, which you usually don't see in a guy 313. He is very likely a 3-down tackle in the NFL, which is why I think
he's rare.
Which is so rare. He's got a great base. He did there. This is the second. I'm going to bring this up 2 times, and I'm bringing it up one time. We talk about another player. There is one player that I talked about at O-line that he got beat up by. When I watched this tape, and I watched like 5 games of Jalen's. Florida's O'Cyrus Torrence is absolutely the worst matchup he had all year. And that was what Zierlein said it too. And I made sure to watch it when I read that review. Yeah. Wow. I was actually, he looked human. O'Cyrus put him in a box. It was very well done, and it made O'Cyrus Torrence go up 3 spots in my ranking.
I did not expect Florida.
Torrence dealt with him. It's just the way it is. Now, I do see another knock here that Zierlein said that I couldn't disagree with more. He said that his tank ran out of gas against Ohio State. Fuck game were you watching, Lance?
Honestly, he might be right, though.
I don't care.
I'm just thinking about it. Like Jalen Carter showed up the most during that game in the first half.
I feel like saying that his tank ran out against Ohio State is too much of an insult to him and not enough of a compliment to Ohio State adapting. Because they did. They did adapt to that defense because Kelee Ringo had a lesser second half. Nolan Smith had a lesser second half. Jalen Carter had a lesser second half. They all had lesser second halves.
A lot of names you're going to hear us mention again today.
They're all going to be mentioned tonight except for Kelee Ringo. We don't need to talk about Kelee anymore.
Kelee Ringo.
Kelee Ringo was so good.
Took care of him.
I like Kelee Ringo. You know what sucks, though? We were talking the other night. We were talking, and Tina and I have talked recently about misses. I missed on one guy years ago that you're never going to remember.
Okay, who?
Because he ended up going in like the 5th. Remember Cordray Tankersley from?
Yes.
I loved him.
I remember him.
Yeah, I loved Cordray Tankersley.
Why do I want to say he was a Brown?
He might have been.
Okay.
I don't even know if he's in the league anymore. But is he? Cordray? I know he was a Dolphin. Oh
no, he was totally a Dolphin the entire time.
He was a Dolphin and a Viking. He's currently a free agent. He's 29 years old. Who ended up going in the 3rd round, actually. I just sold him short.
I remember this kid. This kid was good.
Quite good at Clemson. He was quite good at Clemson. We had him in like the 2nd.
Well, of course, I thought he was a Brown. He wears orange and club. I'm an idiot.
That reminds me again of
Tease Tabor.
I'm never talking about my Tease Tabor choice. I didn't like Vernon as much. Okay. I did like Vernon, but I like Tease Tabor and Quincy Wilson way too much.
Wilson? Oh,
and they both stunk.
Don't draft Florida DB.
Golly. Every time a Florida DB goes in the top 2 rounds, they suck. CJ Henderson, there's another one.
Yeah. When the whole thing with CJ Henderson's like, don't worry, guys, this time will work.
I actually didn't like CJ. I remember looking at CJ and being like, I don't want, and he went 10th, and I'm like, ooh, 25, maybe 10? But Atlanta
Meanwhile, Ohio
or
State
Jacksonville, I
DBs,
forget who took him.
Jacksonville took him. Jacksonville took him.
Jacksonville.
Yeah. Ohio State DBs had like a little run of just terrible. And I know because I drafted them all.
There was another, do you remember one of your guys, Amik Robertson? I loved him.
Dude, yeah, and he's fine. He's okay.
Yeah. I thought he'd be better. I thought that was one of those like you could have a diamond in the rough situation here, but it didn't work.
Listen, Amik Robertson is okay.
He's perfectly fine.
Yeah, he's okay.
Is he better than the 5th round pick you blew on him?
No, he's a 5th round pick corner.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. At least he's that.
Yep.
What was Damon Arnett?
Don't worry. Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Gary
Conley.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. So on the defensive lineman front, if you are Seattle picking 5th
and not taking a quarterback,
and you decide not to take a QB,
yeah, you're spoiled.
By the way, stay tuned for our QB episode. You have to take Jalen Carter. If you don't go QB, and Carter's going to be there at 5.
Might not. I mean, we don't know what Arizona's doing.
Well, nobody knows what Arizona's doing.
I don't think Arizona's what they're doing.
No, Arizona is what they're doing.
By the way, Arizona's uniforms are bad.
2 of them are fine. The red one looks stupid.
No. The red one is stupid. The second one is from Ohio State.
The black one's from Ohio State.
Yeah, and the white one is literally what they currently have.
That's what I said. The white one's fine. The black one feels like a ripoff, but it's still a nice looking jersey. The red one is the only one with just a big ass Arizona across the chest plate. What are you trying to do? We all clown the Browns for doing that shit. Like, why are you doing it? It looks bad. Don't do that. If you're
ever copying Cleveland, you've made a mistake.
You made an error.
Hasn't Deshaun Watson taught you enough?
Hasn't Cleveland taught you enough? So I can't sit here and say anymore how much I think Jalen Carter may be the best player in this draft. However, I can also repeatedly say, yeah, there are flags out the ass. I know there are.
He's off my board.
I know he is. And when there's a lot of flags, at least one of them can hit. If he busts out of the league, I won't be shocked. I won't be. But he is the best defensive tackle in this draft. I would even go far enough to say between the ends and tackles, he has a claim for the number 1 spot. I don't think he is.
I would put him in the number 1 spot on talent.
Fair enough. I don't know
how I feel about Will Anderson.
Yeah, but then you watched him again, and even you were like, yeah, okay. But
no, I'm still not as impressed.
Do you want to talk about Will real quick? Because we are talking about the obvious consensus 1-1.
You want to trade? Let's just trade.
I'll do ends. All right, go ahead.
No. I'm saying let's trade. We're doing the entire defensive line now. You do one DT, I do a defensive end. We're just gonna switch off like that. Let's just have more fun with it. Fuck it.
Okay.
Because you don't need to hear Byron Young without hearing about the other Byron Young.
Yeah, we're only talking about one. Well, no, we're talking about both.
Yeah, we can talk about.
Let's do them both right now. One of them's at Tennessee, one of them's at Bama. One's a little heavier than the other.
They're both not that good.
They're both fine. Good. They're both named Byron Young. It took me 2 hours to figure out that they were 2 different ones.
They're both.
I'm ashamed.
They're both 4th round picks.
They're both fine. They're both gonna go in the 4th. This is like when 2 Michael Carters both went to the Jets. This is weird.
All right, let's talk about Will Anderson.
Let's do it.
Okay. Do you want to give your spiel about Will Anderson?
Oh, Will Anderson's a freak. Will Anderson's an absolute freak. And do you know what Lance Zierlein's comp for Will Anderson is?
What?
DeMarcus fucking Ware.
I don't see it.
Listen, I watched a lot of DeMarcus Ware.
So did I.
I am not as much as I did.
Yeah, technically, literally not as much as you.
I've watched quadruple the amount of DeMarcus Ware that you watched. DeMarcus Ware is one of the most underrated pass rushers in NFL history, even though he's going to the Hall now.
Underrated.
As well rated as he is, I think he's even better. The only player I ever saw consistently beat him was an Eagles backup tackle named King Dunlap, who ended up with the Chargers. He was 6'10", 330. He was giant. Yeah, he's huge. King Dunlap was not that good, but he knew how to deal with DeMarcus Ware.
Cyrus Torrance is not that good.
Cyrus Torrance is not as good as he looked against Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Man, did he handle that. But for him with Jalen Carter, Lance Zierlein made a point with Will Anderson, and I have not watched Will Anderson against Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about then. What did Darnell Wright do to him? Did he just put him in the blender?
Win.
Hell yeah. Good.
Like, okay, you know this whole thing of like don't take plays off? Will Anderson takes so many plays off, dude.
You know who doesn't, though, and I noticed it when I watched that tape?
What?
Darnell fucking Wright. Darnell Wright works. I actually, as like a dark horse candidate, if the Eagles trade back, I want him. Even though I have nowhere to put him.
Let's talk about the pause about Anderson. His get off is ridiculous.
Stupid.
It's the second best in this class.
It's behind.
Oh, we'll get there.
Okay.
but I will say I'm splitting hairs here. They're basically the same get off. Will Anderson is fluid. He has good spin moves. It's just I don't compare him to the rest of his class. I'm comparing number one defensive end to number one defensive end of later years.
Right. Previous years.
I'm not that impressed, to be quite honest with
you. Fair
enough.
Which, by the way, is not an uncommon take right now. I know a lot of draft experts are huge on Will Anderson. I think that's rightfully so, but you and I are going to agree on this. I think we both would have rathered Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh, yeah. It's not even.
I think Hutch is a better player.
Yeah.
But I do think
I would rather have Will Anderson than Trayvon Walker. I would.
I agree with that, too. And I didn't hate Trayvon. I hated him at number one.
Anderson's quick. Anderson's hands are the best in the class. And that's a problem with a lot of people in this class.
Yeah. I noticed it with tackles, too. Carter's the only one with good ones.
He's great at shedding blocks. He's fine at running defense when he wants to be. In my opinion, he's a very safe player that should have racked up more sacks than he actually did. I don't think the production matches the hype he's getting.
This year, I remember. Well, dude, Anthony Richardson's numbers were shit. And
okay,
stay tuned for that episode. Stay tuned for that episode.
Yeah, you know what? Yes, I'm not even going to talk about it after that. I think if there's a tackle with the length or power to match him, he will struggle in the pro. I.e., we saw that in Tennessee.
Darnell Wright proved in that game that is an NFL tackle.
And when they watched it, then they started looking at Tyree Wilson, in my opinion, because he rose.
Let's talk about Tyree.
Let's talk about Tyree.
You still have Will in your top 5 or 10.
Will Anderson's the number one edge. That is the grade I gave him. It's a top 5 grade.
Is it clear that he's the number one edge?
No.
Okay. Give me his contender, please.
Tyree Wilson.
Interesting take.
Tyree Wilson's 6'6", 271, and his arms are even longer.
Well, yeah, because he's that big.
Yeah.
Let's see what Tyree Wilson's pro comp is. I'm going to pull it. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Tyree Wilson is extremely athletic. So athletic. Unbelievably athletic. But he's just significantly more raw than Anderson.
I feel like that's not going to be uncommon with a lot of the edge rushers.
It isn't. Wilson's biggest weakness is his hands. It doesn't look like he knows how to use them whatsoever. And he doesn't have as quick as a get-off as Will Anderson, which is understandable. He has more length. He can power rush through the same ability. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Will Anderson has a sick power rush.
For a dude that not that big.
Oh, yeah. He pushes
that
back all the time.
Oh, do you know why, though?
Why?
It's the burst off the line.
Yeah.
When it's force equals mass times acceleration, his mass, coupled with the fact that his acceleration is absurd, equates to a much higher force number. That's just math. That's just straight physics.
Tyree Wilson's not good at run defense. Not really. Not even close to Anderson. But basically, the reason why Wilson's rising on boards, and it makes a lot of sense, is
he's big as shit.
And he has the athleticism.
He's big as shit.
With the athleticism to go with it. He certainly has the potential to surpass Anderson.
Sure.
Very likely. And even as he is now, he's a very strong disruptor, which I value. Like the pocket falls apart.
Now I've heard in certain analyses of Tyree Wilson, he can be a little bit passive in his engagement. He can be a little bit passive.
Does not know how to use his hands.
He doesn't know how to use his hands.
He does not know how to
Fair
use
enough.
Does
he stay low enough? That's a tall dude. Does he stay down?
He's fine.
Nah, I don't love that answer. Is he fine? Or is he low enough? Because that's not a question I have with Will Anderson. I've watched it. He's low enough.
When I'm saying he's raw, I'm saying he's raw, John.
You know what keeps me very steadfast in Will Anderson's top pass rush in this draft?
What?
Is the fact that all those little technique things that you need to see out of an NFL defensive end, he does all of them. Mm-hmm. He's low to the ground. His bend is quite good. He's
not really. Well,
it's not as good as it should be, but it's perfectly fine.
I've seen some bend in this class.
You know what's funny though? You know who had amazing bend when he came into the NFL?
Who?
Derek fucking Barnett.
Oh, what happened to
him? Nothing.
Who's your second defensive tackle? Who's your second one?
So my second defensive tackle is not the usual contender. Now, I'm not going to surprise anybody. The top four is pretty consensus across the board. But my number two is a man out of Pittsburgh by the name of Calijah Kancey. 6'1", 281. What? How dare you?
This is a kid that I remember you told me. No official visits.
None. Yeah. And I got to tell you, I don't get it. I see nothing wrong with him. I think
that might be it, though.
You know what? I'll say something different. I see one thing wrong with him. And it's not going to be an uncommon statement here. He doesn't wrap up that often.
That's bad for a team.
It's bad. He relies on his body to make plays. Now, he knows exactly how big he is. He is a defensive lineman that is going to bounce a little bit. He's going to bounce a little. 7 sacks last year, 31 total tackles. Junior, he ran a 40 and a sub 4.7. 4.67 at defensive tackle.
Okay.
Is pretty silly. Now, the arm length is a little short. 30 and 5/8.
Is that why you can't wrap up?
It might be part of the problem. His hand size is also sub 9.5. Now, he's not a quarterback, so it doesn't really matter. But it matters enough. I like the player more than I like the body. The body on 3 and 4, better. Straight up better. Way better prototype. This guy needs work, and he needs to do everything right in order to be the second best tackle in this draft. But I'm operating on these guys all hit their ceiling. What do I think they're going to be? If he goes to the right situation. I think if you take him, if for example, I saw a mock draft recently that had Philly taking him at 10, for example.
10?
Listen, I wouldn't. But if you're taking him at 10, you better be damn sure your coach is ready. Because you're going to have some work to do. There's going to be some work to do. Calijah Kancey, I'm going to pull up Zerline's report because I did not have that in front of me. He's undersized. He's a one-gap DT. He is very explosive at DT. There is a theory that he'd be a better option on the end in the NFL, but he is still 6'1". So you're going to want to keep him in the middle.
We're about to talk about someone around that height that is literally getting knocks for being that size.
Yeah. So you know what's really funny is 14 and a half total sacks in 2 years as a starter.
It's not bad.
He does lack that size. He has been washed out by bigger guards. It happens. He's not a very long guy. He doesn't get away, and he does put his head down occasionally, but he chases down quarterbacks. QBs generally are not outrunning him. There's only like 3 or 4 in the league that can get him. His angles through the hole to the quarterback are pristine. Pristine, which tells me the IQ is through the roof. Because if you're hitting the holes that much, okay. Then okay. If you catch an interior blocker leaning, speed beats that. And he beats it every time. He's a fast tackle, which is the way the NFL seems to be going. If you can move that body and you can move it efficiently and through the hole vertically, then you're probably going to have a decent defensive tackle in your hands. I think Kalijah Kancey is a great product. I can't add height to a guy. So if he were to lose 10 pounds, he could bump on the edge, maybe, but probably not. I think this is a little bit of a tweener. Maybe I put 10 pounds on him and keep him in the middle, try and keep that 4.7 speed there, 4.67, mind you, and keep firing him through like a missile in the backfield. It's a bizarre prospect because he's not the standard defensive tackle. I mean, I've got 2 other guys in like my quote unquote tier 1, and they're both bigger. They're both more prototypical ready. I mean, the other 2 are admittedly, I'll just say them, Brian Brees and Mozzie or Maisie. I always fuck up the name. I apologize. Smith from Michigan. He's 6'3", 325. Like, he's big. Brees is 6'6", 300. Like, these are bigger players. Kalijah is different. Very different. There's a theory that I've seen him comped to anyone from Aaron Donald to John Randall just on the body.
Okay.
And that's, listen. He went to Pitt and he's that small. Donald. I get the comp. Do I think he's the second coming of Aaron Donald? No.
First one's still out there.
Yeah, he's still there. So, no. But he's not getting to pick 30. I'd be very surprised if he did. I'd be very surprised if any of the guys, except for maybe my 4th guy, gets a 30. Be honest with you. I think 3 of these guys are going to the top 25.
Let's talk about one that should.
Let's do it.
Another small guy.
Mm-hmm.
Another incredibly intelligent player.
Let's do it.
Georgia, Nolan Smith.
Can I just say,
My favorite player in the draft.
not my favorite, but among them. I am very high on Nolan Smith.
6'2", 238. And every pound of that is playmaker.
Yep.
Small frame. Doesn't really matter. Everyone's gonna complain about his frame. But the fact is, you put this guy under defense and he improves it. Like, so much. He's incredibly fast. I think he ran like a 4.39, or was it a 4.36?
4.3 something, 4.39. I think is what you're looking at.
Yeah, it's an edge, by the way.
Yeah, this is what are you talking about? Clowny up in this piece? Like, what the fuck is that?
This guy is an incredible run defender.
Yeah, 4.39 and a vertical of almost 42.
Yeah.
And a broad of almost 11.
Yeah. He's an incredible run defender. He sheds blocks, which you wouldn't really expect with his size, but it doesn't matter. As a pass rusher, his inside moves, great. Outside moves, you see pretty good bend. He knows how to use his hands a little bit. These are all positives. And all I want to say is if you go to NFL.com right now and you check on Lance Zierlein, he has 11 other edge rushers above him. There is not 11 other edge rushers more talented than Nolan Smith.
I'm going to make a statement that is not necessarily, I mean, this is going to be a weird statement to make, but I am going to make it. 6'3", 246. Okay? How much different is that than Nolan Smith at 6'2", 238? It's an inch taller.
And he jumps high enough.
And like 8 more pounds-ish. And then a 4.36, hold on, with a vert of 34 and a broad of 10.6. Do you know who I just said? Do you know everybody who I just, those measurements?
Who?
That's Micah fucking Parsons. If you're going to tell me that Nolan Smith is too small, That's the complaint? He's 7 pounds lighter than the best pass rusher in the sport. No.
By the way, he can put on 10 pounds and
Put on 5 and just be done with this. Like, I don't think he's going to add weight. One of the quotes, I don't think he's going to add weight without losing speed. Fucking Micah didn't lose any speed.
Also, 4.39.
4.39. Oh no, he runs a 4.14. Now, fuck you. Stop complaining. He went to Georgie's 2 rings. What's the problem?
It's the potential.
And I will say, the reason I'm gung ho, by the way, I just saw Zerline's comp and I've never seen it before.
Yep.
It explains a lot.
Do you want to say?
I'm a big Samson Ebukam fan,
Okay.
and that is the comp.
Okay.
I do love me some Samson Ebukam, so it explains why I like Nolan this much.
There's the potential here for an extremely creative edge defender. Beat you multiple ways because power rush probably won't happen.
I realize, by the way, the last 2 guys we've talked about, I just comp them to Aaron Donald and Micah fucking Parsons.
Yeah, we should calm down a little bit.
Yeah, guys, I'm not doing that. Like, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just telling you, when the knocks are what they are, I don't think Kalijah Kancey is Aaron Donald at all. Just stop it. I don't think that's the reality of it at all. What's a pit? That's the end of my comp. But this is the same size.
That's what some draft scouts just do. You realize that, right? Ooh, Pitt? Who else?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am very aware that's what some draft scouts do. I'm not doing that.
Let's combine your 3 and 4 together.
All right. Yeah, because it's kind of like we're kind of in the same realm because I've gone back and forth with them being my 3 and my 4. Who's my 3? Who's my 4? And then it does go into tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Breeze is kind of my number 3 right now. Out of Clemson, 6'6", 298. 4.86 on the 40, much longer arms, 32 and a half. I mean, what do you want to say? He's a Clemson tackle that has shown a lot of burst. He's strangely agile, strangely movable for 300 pounds. He is going to go earlier than people ordinarily would have thought he would go. I feel like I'm talking like, what's his name? Fucking Will Shatner. Oh, I feel like he would go earlier than people think.
Brian Burberry.
He's gritty as shit, but he's also an athlete. He's not just some frontline bull. He's got himself an injury history. He messed up his knee in September of 2 years ago. It's been a while. He's healed. He doesn't get out to tackles much. If you get out of the box from him, he can kind of wither. It's not the best word, but he can get iced out in those situations. He's not the best rush defending tackle I've ever seen. He's much better in the pass situation. He's got great focus, though. He plays very good instinctive football. I'm interested. But the problem with Brian Breeze, and it's the same thing I'm going to say about Smith, although Smith is just so big that it's a little different. Breeze at 6'6", 300, you better be able to move. And he can. But I think Breeze is going to, and this is an obvious thing to say about any player, he's going to thrive way better in a situation where he doesn't have to be the best tackle. If he has to be the best tackle, I'm a little concerned.
If he has to be the best tackle, though, are you willing to spend a first-round pick on him?
No, you have to. He won't. The talent is there to be the third, to be in like 25 to 30. He's going to be in that range. Okay, and I think Smith is probably in that realm too. I question his ability to be a team's number 1 tackle. I question the same thing with Mazi Smith.
Okay,
these two they're good. They're actually really good, but the other two are great. And I think Brees needs more gas. I think he needs to put more fuel in his tank and just kind of keep driving before I can make a real distinction on whether or not I think, because I don't think he's ready. You know, he's going to be learning on the job. There's some raw tape. The tape itself is not, if you watch his tape isolated and you're just like, you look at it and be like, eh. And I don't like watching tape and realizing, but there's another Clemson player in your list that I think the two of them collectively made each other a little bit better. And that's where
That tends to happen with Clemson defense.
It tends to happen with defensive lines, period. You need a unit. Defense is a unit. You know, we're probably past talking about most of the guys that we think you can plug in, and they're all of a sudden the identity of your defense.
I am not.
I am. Now let me throw in Mazie Smith real quick.
Yeah.
Mozzie Smith.
Is there anything Mozzie does better?
He's heavier.
That is not something heavier. You do better.
he is a larger person. Mozzie Smith is the rare size and athleticism mesh type deal. Again, a la Jordan Davis. Not comping, just a baseline idea to give you, the listener, a mental picture.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't go to the same school, John. You can't have them as the combine.
I can't possibly. How could I?
Yeah.
Didn't run a 40 at the combine. I don't think I have his running number.
I can find an official one.
His comp, and this is why I have him lower, because I didn't like this player coming out of college at all. His player comp is Dontari Poe.
Yeah, Dontari Poe. That's not a bad thing to be.
No, Poe had a good career, but do you know who went right before Dontari Poe in the draft?
Who?
Fletcher Cox. Who had a better career?
Fletcher Cox.
No shit.
Who made my life living hell for a little bit? Dontari Poe.
Okay.
By the way, that unofficial 40 for Mozzie is 4.85.
4.85?
Yeah.
Oh.
Unofficial.
He might be my 3. That's pretty fast. At 323, that's pretty fucking fast.
Again, unofficial, John.
By the way, how many bench reps do you think you did?
I'm going to go with 28.
34.
Good for him.
Bang! Yeah, a big dog. Big dog. I mean, he's weirdly movable. It's a big dog. He doesn't get into the backfield enough, though. Like, that's my problem. He clogs holes like Poe did. When your body's that big and you've got all that mass on you, you are able to kind of get in between those gaps and not have to move forward. But if you're running sub 5 at that size, 4.85, I expect that you're getting back there with some regularity, right? I can't imagine that's and one of the problems is this is not a 3-down tackle. I don't think he's a 3rd down tackle. He's not a passing down guy. He's a run clogger. That's why I have him, I guess, at 4 and Breece at 3. Breece is better in the passing game. Passing is becoming more commonplace in the NFL, not less. And if I'm going to rag on running backs as much as I have to value passing more. So I would still take him.
You know what's funny about the fact that, before we move on, that Breece wasn't as good of a run defender? He probably didn't have to do it because Myles Murphy is an absolute beast as a run defender.
It helps. it would help.
All right, but let's talk about the next defensive end, and it's not Myles Murphy. Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa.
A consistent mock to the Eagles. Occasional mock to the Eagles.
Going to steal your heart, John.
I can't wait to watch more of him. What do you got for him?
He's 6'5", 272.
I like him already.
Textbook power rusher here. If you looked up in the dictionary, textbook power rusher, Lucas Van Ness. It was beautiful. Sick burst. You don't expect that, but it's sick. An ultimate disruptor at the pocket.
You ran a 4.58.
Yeah, I'd believe it. I would believe it.
17 reps on the bench isn't great, but not bad.
This guy, 17 reps at the bench, he didn't need more power on his tape. He absolutely did not. This guy has an amazing feel for the pocket. While he's destroying it, it feels like he knows where every single person currently is in that pocket. Because when the quarterback was moving to get out, he got him every single time, contained him. It was amazing.
34-inch arms, long.
One player that I thought might actually have a better get off than Anderson.
Don't tell me a dude that big is getting off that fast.
He looked like a cannonball was being shot out.
He ran a faster 40 than Will did. Will's 40 was 4.6. Van Ness was 4.58.
And the best part about Van Ness is he still has room to grow because he doesn't know how to use his hands. But you know what he does know how to use? His brute strength.
All right, now which O linemen that I talked about destroyed him in one game?
None.
Good. Did he play any of them?
No. I don't think so. I mean, then Iowa play any of them? I don't know.
Come on, man. I don't know.
I think this is a guy that with the proper coaching,
here's a guy,
a la the Eagles, will outperform his draft slot massively. I love Van Ness.
11-inch hands on this kid.
I love Van Ness.
This guy a monster. His nickname is Hercules.
Yeah, you could tell from the tape.
I mean, again, everybody could obviously just read Zuerlein's analysis. We don't have to read it for you, but he's a well-developed defensive end with excellent lean mass and additional growth still to come. Power-centric, both a run defender and pass rusher. He needs to work on hand attacks for quicker block shedding.
Good to know Zuerlein and I agree for once, huh?
Yeah, right. Well, for this year, we usually do, but this year it's been odd.
Yeah, this year we've been fighting. You know what's funny? This year we've been fighting Zuerlein more than Chris Sims.
I don't even bother. I'm gonna hate him in a minute. I'll find a way to hate Chris Sims later. We haven't even just stay tuned for the quarterback episode. That's all I'm gonna say. If you listen to no other episode this year, listen to the quarterback episode. I mean, you can't even hear me saying this unless you're listening to another episode of this stupid show.
Yeah.
Literally, it's in this episode where I'm saying that.
Yeah.
If you listen to no other episodes after this one, other than the quarterback episode, make it the quarterback episode.
I'll make sure to mention that during the quarterback episode. Yeah, Lucas Van Ness is a great player, great prospect. I think Eagles are 10, right?
10.
I think that's probably the earliest I would take him.
That's about what I've heard.
Considering I have Will Anderson as like a top 5 and Tyree Wilson as a top 5, and then there's 4 quarterbacks, so 5 plus 4 is 9.
There could be more.
You're
really gonna enjoy that episode.
5 plus 4 equals 9 plus a quarter equals 10.
This episode is a commercial for the next episode.
All right. Do you want me to talk about the next guy before we go back to defensive tackles? Let's talk about Will McDonald.
Let's talk about Will McDonald.
I haven't said Miles Murphy yet.
and team's going in order.
Yeah, I'm going in order.
I'm not. But I did before, now I'm not.
Will McDonald, the 4th, from Iowa State. Boy, I love Iowa.
I'm willing to bet at least one of them was better than him. One of the McDonald's.
6'4", 239. Projected to be a late 1. I would go with a mid 1 because McDonald is a pass rush specialist.
You want to hear Zuerlein's comp?
Sure.
Randy Gregory.
Oh well, yeah, that's a good comp.
I don't like Randy Gregory.
Randy Gregory had good years,
You know what's fun? You know what's really funny is I'm going to go back into my miss category real quick.
Is Randy Gregory one of your misses?
I had him as my top pass rusher in that year's draft.
Who was that draft?
I don't remember, but Shane Ray was also in it, so I might have been right. Shane Ray was a miss.
Will McDonald's extremely explosive. I'm going to say this a lot. It's a really good draft class. Very long arms, a 6 spin move, but he's also very strong. I would think this is the first time I'd say like he's more of a speed rusher than a bull rusher. But we have a headhunter. Buzzwords, John. Quarterback headhunter with great balance, bend, and block shedding ability. What's the problem? Guy's average at best at run defense.
in another universe, this show would have just been called Buzzwords.
Buzzwords?
Buzzwords the musical.
He's gonna need work for an every down player. Until then, 3rd down pass rush specialist.
So if you're going to call him a third down pass rush specialist, I have a different comp for him.
Okay.
Bruce Irvin.
Okay.
All right, there you go. Bruce Irvin.
I think this one's probably more athletic.
Bruce Irvin was pretty damn athletic.
Oh.
Bruce Irvin is still one of the weirdest first round picks I've ever heard. And then that's only like third to, I don't know, Seattle keeps doing weird shit in the first round, man. Last year was the first time they made any sense, and it was just Charles Cross.
So many bad drafts.
LJ Collier. Jordan Brooks.
Every single time you mention a tackle to me, I'm like, Alex Leatherwood.
Rashad Penny in the first round. Welcome to Philly, by the way.
Give me a DT. Give me a defensive tackle. What? Oh my God. Did you hear that?
I did.
My dog jumped off the bed and did not like the landing.
Is he okay? You're just laughing at him.
Are you okay?
You should check that.
Here. Tell me about defensive tackles.
So the next one I'm going to bring up, let's talk about. Let's talk about. I'm going to talk about Keanu Benton.
Keanu with 2 A's.
With 2 E's.
Oh, is it 2 E's? Either way, that's not how you spell Keanu.
Yeah, it's wrong. Your name is wrong. No,
yeah, your parents are wrong.
No. Keanu Benton.
There's another player, another defensive tackle in this class where I'm going to say your parent was wrong.
No, we're not talking about that.
Okay.
Keanu Benton. Oh. Keanu Benton. Big man, 6'4" again at 310. Ran himself a 5.08. So for the size, pretty normal. That's why he's in my second tier. Because he's not a weird athlete. He's probably fine.
You're not a weirdo.
You are not weird.
You were not bullied in high school.
He started for roughly 4 years at Wisconsin. That's legit. That's real. He doesn't consistently explode off the line. But when he's this is another one of those guys. I don't know if he's taking plays off or if he gets gassed out. But when if he's able to train himself to sustain throughout a 60-minute game, then he's gonna have no problem. He's gonna have no problem whatsoever. He's got some issues in the neutral zone. He doesn't react to the snaps as quickly. Not Michael Mayer bad, but not great.
Still can't believe what we saw with Michael Mayer.
I remember showing it to you like, dude, get up. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Here, watch it again. The fuck? Why are you so slow off the line? What are you doing? What are you waiting for? It has to be on purpose.
Why is no one talking about this?
Why is nobody talking about this? He basically punches you with his hands, this guy, which is awesome.
How big are his hands?
Almost 10 inches.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah, 44-inch arms. 34-inch arms.
44-inch.
Yeah, I got Gumby out there. I got Mr. Fantastic playing defensive tackle. Yeah, who apparently might be Adam Driver, by the way. There's a rumor.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
It would be fine.
No, Adam Driver's a great actor.
Yeah.
But is he Mr. Fantastic?
Is anybody really Mr. Fantastic?
I don't know if I have the will to do
Well, this guy's 44-inch arms makes 34-inch arms. What can you say? This is where you start to get the run-of-the-mill defensive lineman, former wrestler. So he knows leverage. I kind of like him the kind of way I liked Milton Williams when the Eagles drafted him in the 3rd round. This is a defensive tackle you can take in the 2nd and kind of just wait and see. I'm not saying take him early 2nd. You probably end up taking him in the 3rd because defensive tackle seems to go dead for a weird round there in the middle. but you can take him in the third and be pretty damn happy. I think there's a player here in the third. In the second, yeah, I don't hate it, but you're noticing a trend here, everybody. I don't really love any second round tackle. I'm not loving that. I think if you're going to go defensive line in the second round, go with any of the 25 people that Teen has on his list.
Oh, yeah. We're not even going to talk about all of them.
Yeah. We only have so much time. And if you guys listen to the defensive back episode, you'll know that time can be long.
Let's talk about Felix and Udiki Uzama.
Good fucking luck.
I hope.
And Adike Uzama.
And Udike. I'm going to just call you Felix. I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to call you Felix because strong first name for a strong player. Another pass rush specialist, good length. You know what's really cool about this player, though? Good pass rushers have moves under their belt, like specialized ways to get past a tackle. This guy is like 5. This guy already knows all the moves he needs to know. So you just need to let this kid develop because he's extremely creative. He'll hit you with the swim. He'll hit you. Oh, by the way, his swim is amazing. This guy gets double teamed all the time between Kansas State. Let me just go right between the two of them and kill the quarterback.
Right.
He's 6'3", 255, and not a good run defender. I think I've said this one already.
Yeah.
If you can get him in the second, like if this guy was up for the first pick in the second round and he's taken, win. It's a win for me.
Now, I'm noticing a player that you do not have on this list that I had on mine earmarked between edge and tackle.
Okay.
Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame.
Yeah, I didn't. I figured you were going to talk about him, so I didn't talk about him.
Okay, I have a little bit on him.
Okay.
I can throw him in there next.
Yeah, I would do that because Isaiah Foskey, I didn't look at him because he's so obviously in between.
He's a weird tweener, I'll give you that. So it's weird with Foskey. I do have him ending up on the edge, which is why I think we should have probably communicated that. We did. I did have him moving more to the edge. He's not big enough really for an NFL tackle. 6'5", 265. You're going to the outside.
I watched a little bit, and I wasn't really that impressed, to be quite honest.
Listen, here's my reality with a guy like Isaiah Foskey. He went to high school at De La Salle in California. That's
school to go.
Substantial. Yeah. That's substantial. Went to Notre Dame. His NFL comp, according to Zerline, Yannick Ngakoue.
I did not see that.
So I get where they're coming from. I don't necessarily agree. 34-inch arms again. I already said 6'5", 264, 265. 4.58, 22 reps on the bench, Bird 34.
That's great numbers.
11 sacks last year with a forced fumble. This is a player I see in the second.
Yeah.
So as far as a tweener, this is definitely a second-round player.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him slip. I could.
It doesn't feel like he has a true position when I watch him.
He doesn't, because he's an edge rusher that almost plays like a tackle, even though he's fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's bizarre. He's a forward-charging edge defender. And when you're playing forward-charge football, you're generally thinking of a defensive tackle. So I understand the limitations are odd, but because this is not a linebacker, you're not dropping him back probably ever. You're going to have him go straight ahead. A pure 4-3 defensive end rather than an edge rusher is what makes it so weird. Mm-hmm. Because 10 years ago, he would have had an easy spot. Now, he's not the quintessential edge rusher. He's a defensive end. I don't know. I don't know what to do with him. I would take him in the second.
How is he on contain for run?
It's fine.
So this might just be like a guy that ends up being like a Robin to someone else's Batman.
The one thing I've heard the most about Foskey is upside. That's the thing I've heard the most is upside. He is an upside draft pick. You take him and you put him in the right situation, you might have a Pro Bowler in your hands, potentially. I don't know if you're going to have one year 1 or year 2.
Mm-hmm.
But that reminds me of Adafe Owe when the Ravens took him.
Oh yeah.
His whole thing was upside.
Yeah.
And Owe is a different breed entirely because he was all athlete all the time.
Mhm.
This guy's got more polish than Owe did on his way in. I think, and Owe is hitting hard. Baltimore was right. They were absolutely right. This is kind of like Owe.
It's funny you mentioned Owe because I have Owe in this class.
Go ahead. Give him to me.
Georgia Tech's Keon White.
Interesting.
6'5", 285. Projected to be an early two. But if he lives up to his potential, it's first round talent. This guy's extremely raw and he's living based off of only his athletic ability. And it's at full show. A lot of gas, can bull rush you, can burst right past you, very sudden with a great get off. And a lot of I love banded defensive ends. I love banded edge rushers, and he has a lot of it. He's not consistent, doesn't understand run defense, can't shed off a tackle, but it's just a rocket learning how to control it. And if you can cultivate that, then you saw what happened with Owe.
I did. I also see that Keon White is 24 years old.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
You don't like it when it's a 24-year-old who only has athleticism, right?
Listen, 6'5", 285 is pretty sick.
Yeah.
And doing 30 reps on the bench press is pretty sick. He's a freak. This is one of those. My biggest seal of approval is you don't make sense. This guy might not make any sense. Owe made no sense. I couldn't make heads or tails of what Adafe Owe was. And then he changed his last. He decided to go by his first name, Adafe, instead of, what was it before, Jason?
I don't know.
It was something else,
Yeah.
Owe.
I always remembered him as Odafe Owe, though.
Adafe Owe it was Jason. He decided he started to go with Adafe, but it was Jason leading into it, Jayson. So I remembered him well. He's a New Jersey native. So it was one of those guys I was like, I took a very interesting eye towards scouting him.
Do you have any more defensive tackles that you would give like a second round grade to?
Looking right now. So there's one or two.
Let's talk about him.
So I'm gonna butcher this guy's name.
Okay. I'm ready because I suffer this every single time.
Adetomiwa Adebawore from Northwestern.
Say that 10 times fast, please.
Adetomiwa Adebawore. I'm sure I'm butchering that, and I sincerely apologize. This is another guy that I've seen as a tweener. But I'm going to read some interesting little some combine numbers. I don't remember what he worked out as, whether it was D line or edge, if he was tackle or edge. I believe it was his D lineman. Adetomiwa Adebawore, which will be the last time I say his name. I don't know if I see him in the second round, but I see second round talent potential. This is another aggressively raw player that needs a lot of work. There's work that needs to be done here, and a lot of it. And that was the first thing Zerline said. He is a tweener. This is a Senior Bowl dude. He's just a few meals away from checking in at a weight that would pass from even front 3 tech. I see it. 4.49 in the 40 at 6'2", 285.
Okay.
10.5 on the broad, bench press of 27 with a vert of almost 38. There's an athletic dynamo in that body. The guy that's insane for that weight. 4.49 at 285. Golly. That's a lot of body moving, a lot of fast. Cultivate it. He didn't do that much in college, whatever. There's a lot here to work with. This is like if you built somebody out of clay and all you had to do was mold it the right way and he would turn into a good player. Like, You want to talk about those raw Adafe Owe type projects to draft and bring into your team. This is another one of them. Might as well give it a shot. I don't know if he's necessarily round 2, but he's a round 2 potential talent. Another one that I did have on my list for round 2 as probably more of a guy that would go late 2 would be Siaki Ika from Baylor. Big man.
Hell of a name.
6'3", 335. He big. Now, ask me whether or not, and there's a guy that you have on your list that I also had as a tweener, but it might just because of his brother.
Yeah.
Ask me what Siaki Ika's 40-yard dash was.
Can it be something extremely impressive?
Ask me the question.
What was Siaki's 40-yard time?
5.39.
Oh, can we move on to the next guy?
I didn't like seeing that. He's a nose tackle. This is Vita Vea. This is my Vita Vea of this draft.
Oh, so what you're saying is I should take
You should draft him. I said it for years. I mean, I could talk about, you're going to talk about this guy. You're going to talk about this guy.
Let me talk about
Go ahead.
elephant in the room.
Do it.
Because there's one player that I haven't mentioned yet who's 8th on my big board and is frequently talked of as a first-round pick.
Go ahead.
Clemson's own Myles Murphy.
I'll pull the numbers.
That's not to say I don't like Myles Murphy. I have an early 2 grade on him. He's 6'5", 268. Murphy is a very consistent, solid, relentless player that does not impress me whatsoever on pass rushing skills. The man never cuts inside, and if he did, I missed it. The one snap in 400. And he frequently can be pushed outside, over passing the quarterback. I wouldn't trust this guy to lead your pass rush. Feels like a number 2 guy to me. Despite that, I think he's an absolutely sick run defender. I just value that less than a pass rusher. That's my justification. He has a real skill at shedding tackles, and he'll frequently crash into the backfield. This is stuff he doesn't do when he's pass rushing. I don't know why. And then he's a Clemson player, so of course I have PTSD because of Clelin Ferrell. But do you disagree with me?
What, with having PTSD about it?
No. With saying Myles Murphy, because he's expected to be a late 1. I have him at early 2.
So the claim is that he ran a 4.51 40 at a time.
That's good.
He has no combine numbers.
Okay.
The only combine thing he did the bench press.
And what did he do?
He put up 25 reps.
Okay.
6'5", 268, almost 34-inch arms. There's one measurement that's peculiar. Ask me how big his hands are.
Is it 8 inches?
8.5.
Oh, okay. Those are small.
8.5 inches. My hands aren't big, but I think they're like
You do this.
7.
Put them next to your face. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Do you know how much of a snot-nosed brat kid I was doing that all the time?
Yeah, for podcast listeners, John now has cancer.
Stop it. Your hand is bigger than your face. If you people don't remember that, if your hand is bigger than your face, you can't. Yeah, I held my hand on my face. It's amazing the fucked up things we did as children. It's like an evil thing to even.
There is nothing more honest than a 5-year-old child.
Than a child.
If a 5-year-old child says you look beautiful today, you look like a goddess.
If a 5-year-old child tells you they love you, they mean it.
Yeah.
And they will fight to the death for it. They will journey to the center of the earth for you. Without you. Just to fight in your honor. Anyway, Miles Murphy.
Miles Murphy will not fight for your honor.
Miles Murphy, in my opinion, of anybody we've discussed up to this point in any episode, is the highest likelihood of a bust.
Really?
I think you have
That's
the
not
highest.
true, by the way.
I mean, of first round players.
Okay.
Who do you have higher?
Who can bust higher than Miles Murphy?
No, who do you think has a more higher likelihood of busting?
We'll talk
Any player can bust.
Okay.
Will Anderson could bust, and that would be worse than Miles Murphy busting, of course.
We'll
Do you think Murphy is more likely to bust than Will Anderson? Of course you do.
No.
You're an idiot if you think
No.
that.
I misspoke. There's one player we talked about,
When?
like just you and I, who is 100% has a higher bust rate than Miles Murphy.
Is it a quarterback?
You'll hear about him next time.
Is it a quarterback?
Oh yeah.
Is it the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's probably not the one you're thinking of if you had to think about it like that.
No. Oh. No, it's not who I'm thinking of. I think I know who you're thinking. I'm going to type it.
Okay. It's the player that terrifies me the most.
Yeah, which of these two?
Not those two.
So it's the other one.
Yeah, the one that terrifies me and ruins my nightmares. Yeah.
That's who it is. Okay. So, yeah, I initially thought it was the second one I wrote.
No.
Because we'll talk about that.
I mean, he also has a chance to bust. Like, let's.
For those that know, we ranked them.
Oh yeah.
That ranking is done.
Yeah.
We still have to shoot, but we ranked it. The rank's done, and we're not changing.
All right, let's get off of Murphy. Let's wrap this episode up. We're talking about people who are now day 2 people.
Yeah.
Any of them like catch your eye?
Gervin Dexter from Florida. It's interesting. I don't dislike Gervin Dexter from Florida. Are you waiting for analysis?
Okay, so
I was like, what do you want? No, Gervin Dexter's he could be a third rounder.
Okay,
but like a late third rounder. I wouldn't hate that idea. There's Gervin Dexter. There's I don't know how to pronounce this name, but Jacqueline Roy from LSU. I don't know if that's correct pronunciation. I'm very partial to LSU players as a baseline.
LSU defense is getting a lot of hype.
Why not?
Whenever I see people's opinions on LSU defense, they say that it's the secondary that's incredible. And then I watch the secondary players and I think they're all dog shit.
I think you said dog shit and the dog barked.
Yeah. But speaking of LSU players,
BJ
Ojulari has a brother already in the NFL.
Named Aziz.
Yeah. He's not as good.
I got to throw one more dude in there real quick.
Okay.
I forgot about one other guy that I have rated a little bit higher than the other two I just said.
Okay.
Because I think they're all generally projected in the 4th, but if Eddie's going to go in the 3rd, Eddie's going to be in the 3rd. I'm going to go with, let's say, Zach Pickens.
Oh, how do you
South
spell
Carolina.
Zach?
Yeah, so Zach is 2 C's.
Yeah, that's so weird.
P-A-C-C-H.
I've been waiting all day for you to say Zach.
Yeah, I figured. Zach Pickens, I'm going to pull up his numbers because I do want to talk about Zach Pickens a little bit because the tape I watched of him was pretty gnarly. If he could play without a helmet, he would. I'm convinced of it.
So he's getting 2 cc's of
Already stopped. Don't finish that. There's something here. He plays more pissed than anything. Now, I'll say something about Lance Zierlein's player comp. I hope this is wrong.
What is it?
The comp's Maurice Hurst. I don't see it. Because Hurst, to me, at times, played insanely passive football. This man doesn't do that. He's very athletic interior. His first step is great. He's got very long arms, 34.5-inch, 10.5-inch hands, 6'4", 291, ran like a gazelle sub 4'9", 22 reps on the bench. The naturals are there. The unteachable are there. The attitude is there. Rev them up. This is a very good rotational tackle. The Eagles could use a rotational tackle. I don't know, 4th round pick. So I may have to do it in the 3rd. I don't know, 5th or 6th round pick either. I got 2 ones. One of them's moving.
Derek Hall out of Auburn.
I mentioned it briefly in the linebacker episode.
Yeah. He's a missile, explosive, immense strength. He has the speed needed for pursuit. Absolute sick power rusher, but it's pretty one note. He doesn't really have any tricks at his disposal.
I've noticed.
And this is the problem with Derek Hall. There are some severe limitations to Derek Hall.
Sure.
His play recognition when and run defense is embarrassing. In fact, he plays slow. Altogether, he's just a very poor run defender. And then for some reason, Auburn put him in coverage. Don't do that, Auburn.
So like what Oregon was doing with Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah, like what
Jesus.
the hell?
It was so weird last year watching the last bit of Thibodeau. It was like, why the fuck are you playing linebacker?
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing?
Yeah. So Derek Hall. By the way, we kind of skipped through it. BJ Ojulari is a okay run defender who only plays contain.
How does he comp to his brother?
Not even close.
I was gonna say, if you recall, we enjoyed his brother's tape.
He's a speed rusher with a really good bend and dip. His dip is actually fun to watch. But that's really it. Pass rush specialist.
I do love a good dip.
He needs to develop more. 2nd round pick.
Just like Aziz did, kind of.
But Aziz was better.
Aziz just did it crazy fast.
Yeah. So next week, quarterbacks.
Wait, was there one more dude?
Oh yeah. Tuli.
Yeah, Tuli Peloton. Tuli Peloton.
USC. It's a third round guy with a knack of knocking the ball out. No joke. I think he has like a sick amount of forced fumbles. Very athletic pass rusher. Great at shedding blocks. Has a great punch. I mean, of course, forced fumbles.
Right.
Bendy, swervy move outside. The best part about this guy is he plays with immense effort. Oh my God. He plays every single down. There's no taking downs off. And because of that, 13 and a half sacks.
Last year?
13 and a half sacks.
That'll do.
22 tackles for a loss.
That'll do.
And he can kick inside.
Bang!
Yeah. It's just his peak isn't at the same.
You were gonna end the episode without talking about a hybrid.
Yeah, his peaks are just not as high as the other ones. That's why I have him as a 3rd rounder.
Right. Yeah.
Still sick 3rd rounder to get.
Guys, this edge class is bananas. There's like 12 dudes. There's like 11 dudes, and then one of the Byron Youngs. I just, it's the year to need edge.
Yeah.
It is the year. Because even if you end up with Miles Murphy,
Am I disrespecting him?
Would it shock you if he ended up in the 2nd?
No, I have him graded as a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, for those that remember last year, I know we're trying to end this episode, but I just want to throw this out there real quick. Remember last year, leading up to the draft, Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State was getting insane amounts of press as being a top 10 to 12 pick. He was going to go crazy earlier than anybody thought he was supposed to be going. All this. Oh my God, he's so right. It's crazy raw. He's this, he's that. Oh, he's not. He should go. He's the 3rd best passer in the draft. He'll go up there with Aiden Hutchinson and Trayvon blah, 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 25th.
Where he should have gone.
And that's about right. After watching him last year, that's exactly what he belonged.
How's he doing anyways?
I don't know. You want to pull a stats real quick?
Yeah, let's pull up Jermaine Johnson.
I'll do it right now. Jermaine Johnson. South Carolina State Representative. No, it's the other one. So he ended up going to the Jets. And he ended up last year, he started no games. He played 14. He had 2.5 sacks. He had 3 tackles for loss, and he forced a safety.
Still better than Marcus Davenport.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say that.
I don't know if that's even true. I'm willing to bet that's not true.
Didn't Marcus Davenport's the Saint that had like 2 sacks in 2 years, right?
I'm going to pull up Marcus Davenport real quick, and then we will say goodbye because we're running out of time. Marcus Davenport's stats went last year.
Yeah.
Marcus Davenport is still only 26. He feels like he should be 30. He had half a sack last year.
Yeah. And then what about the year before that?
He had 9.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
It's-
That is by far his best.
Yeah.
Last year, Marcus Davenport played 15 games. He had half a sack, 29 total tackles, 8 QB hits, 2 tackles for loss.
And he got like 18 million from the Vikings.
He got something stupid from
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Like, what did he get?
I think it was 14.
All right. Well, it was 13.
13. 13. 13 with 10 in guarantees. Guys, that's a defense. We're done on defense. Next episode is quarterbacks, and that'll be the final position group. Stay tuned for this weekend as well, because over the weekend, we're going to be shooting and probably releasing at some point.
Oh, I don't think we will release.
We'll figure it out. A fun mock draft. We'll alternate picks. We'll have some fun. We'll talk about it again in the QB episode.
Are
Till
we
then,
smarter than a Bears GM?
definitely. Bye.